the day is just your reward for the last, I guess it was 5 months really of big swims.
Welcome to Marathon Swim Stories, where we explore the human side of the superhuman feats of endurance swimmers and those who support them. I'm marathon swimmer and water relationship coach, Shannon Keegan. I know what you're thinking. What's a water relationship coach? Think about it. What's your relationship with the water? Like any relationship, it takes work. If you go into a swim with an agenda, you may get what you want, but you may not. But if you take the time to learn to work with the water, you can do amazing things together. If you're looking for guidance in your water relationship, I'd love to chat. Reach out to me, shannon@intrepidwater.com. In this, the last of our 3-part series, following Carolyn Anderson on her journey to swim the 34 kilometers down the Derwent River in Tasmania, we meet a beaming Carolyn, her captain, Val Kilmakov, and one of her crew members, Joop Baus, who generously gave their time, not just to see Carolyn safely down the river, but to join us for the retelling. We had a fantastic time laughing and joking the whole time. I hope you enjoy the exciting conclusion of Carolyn's journey. All right, you guys, thanks for being with me today. This is the exciting conclusion of Caroline's journey to swim the 34 kilometers down the Derwent River. And it's also a bit of a retelling because we have some of her crew here, including her skipper. So let's start with introductions. Caroline, you don't need any introduction because you've been with us for a few episodes, but you maybe tell us a little bit about your role in Caroline's journey.
So in Caroline's journey, we have been training a lot together in Brisbane. I call her my swim buddy of the year. On the day of Caroline's swim, I was in the support crew, so handling with her feeds, motivating her, dancing on deck, that sort of stuff.
We'll come back to that. And Val, can you introduce yourself, please?
Val Kalmakovs. I'm a director of Keppel Island Swimming Association, as well as the boat driver or captain, or whatever you call the pilot on the Derwent River. So my job was to pretty much tell Carolyn where to go.
Yeah,
to make the long story short. So
right.
But it's and we succeeded, I think.
I think so. And I know you and Val, that you guys each have your own marathon swim story, and I want to come back to that. But today we're going to focus on Caroline. So
Absolutely.
Where should we start? Let's start at the beginning. Were you successful in all of your travels to get there, Caroline? I think we left off with you getting ready. You had to do testing before you went and things like that.
Yeah, so the States, we ended up having to get tested with the lovely nose test on the way down. So that was all a bit nerve-wracking. So it kind of impacted the last 2 weeks of training because I was just too scared to see anybody.
Oh,
because if I got a negative fast, what do you call those things? Rapid antigen test.
Yeah,
the RAT test. If I got a negative, then I wasn't allowed to go. So, positive. Yeah. I wasn't allowed to go.
Uh-oh.
I've got a husband in the background telling me that too. Anyway, so I was really nervous. So it actually impacted my last 2 weeks of training. I was too scared to go to any squads. I didn't get to see my coach in the last 2 weeks. I pretty much went to the pool. Joop and I went to indoor pools in the middle of the day. I was talking to you about the Australian summer, and just basically no one swims in the middle of the day here. So we went to a couple of indoor pools in the middle of the day and no one was kind of there. And we just sort of avoided everyone and did arm's length to everyone. Just, you were just, like I was saying last time, it's all very new in Australia. So
right.
Anyway, I got down there. Val got down there. You got down there, and we were good to go.
Just like that.
Just like that.
So tell me again, what time did you guys start? Broad daylight, like noon, right?
Yeah, in Africa.
Well, in Africa. I think the alarm went off at 11:30. For me, the alarm went off at 11:30 at night. We were on the road, I think about 12:15, but then Val can talk about, he's got to get the boat up the river first. So I think it took him an hour. I didn't really ask much about what he was doing. And so he had to get the boat up the river. So then it was a bit of a logistical thing, actually, because a bit like we were talking about, the kayak was a bit of a logistical thing. You have to drop, it's because it's a one-way swim. You kind of have to get the cars back and everybody up there and around. And I was a little bit nervous. Val offered to go on his boat, but I was a little bit nervous to sit on the boat for an hour beforehand. I wasn't sure how I'd react with my seasickness, but also it was an hour of sleep, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
So it was. I'm a very good napper, as we talked about. So I actually took my Quell tablets at about 5:30, and I was asleep by 6:30. I had a good 5 hours nap. No problem here. I think it was everyone else that was tired. So but the thing that really got my confidence up, we were talking about getting my confidence up, was 2 days beforehand, Val was very sweet, and he said, come on, you get in the boat, we'll go up the river and we'll do a little practice. Because as you know, I was quite scared about the cold water, and I, train in the week leading up to it, because I was sitting at home for most of the time. I was sitting in my ice bath, and Val's like, no, you'll be right. I'm like, I don't believe you, Val. Should have believed him. Anyway, so he was very kind, and we went on the boat and we drove up to kind of halfway, I think, Val, isn't it? Up to Bridgewater Bridge, and he said, all right, get in, let's swim, And it was just fantastic, like just to have that little practice, because as we talked about, I'd never been next to a boat before, feeding and swimming off a boat before. It was all so new, and I literally never swum beside a boat like that. I don't think Val appreciates that 20 minutes was the first time I'd ever swum beside the boat. And when I jumped in for the practice swim, I was like, I was like hyperventilating. I'm like, don't let Val see. I thought he'll think that I'm not going to make it in a couple of days. So I was just trying to concentrate on my breathing, and actually Val's wife is amazing with breathing and stroking, and she was talking to me about, just taking a big long breath, and just in that first sort of 20 minutes, and that's kind of what I did. And it was interesting because that day there was actually someone swimming it. So I got back in the boat, and Val took me over, and we saw that person swimming. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, and that person was kind of swim. Obviously they were a bit more confident, and they were away from the boat. And I'm saying to Val, not more than 2 meters away from me, buddy. Stay close.
Can I add that on that practice swim, Carolyn, if I would know that she didn't swim with the boat before, I would never guess. She was really? Like a professional boat swimmer.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you detect what happens with a person who maybe isn't used to swimming next to a boat? Is it that they swim into the boat, or what usually happens?
Exactly right. So they just don't stay in a straight line, or they're trying to swim their own course instead of following the boat. So the plan is you stay with the boat. You might go a little bit left or right, but generally you stay with the boat. Boat doesn't stay with you. So we put a course, and it's your job to stay with the boat. So she did fantastic in that.
Yeah. That is, I think, what's the thing I've heard before. It's like the swimmer sets the pace, but the boat sets the course. So, but it's important that you respect that. And there's always somebody that's like, oh no, I know the right way to go.
Exactly. Now, Carolyn was very, very cooperative in that case. So I don't know how often that happens.
It happens a lot. I'm always cooperative.
Chris, is it true?
Yeah, he's gone now. I think also, I just know when Yoop and I have done massive swims, well, not massive, those big training swims we were talking about before Christmas, I just know how much sighting takes out of me, and I know how much my nerves takes energy out of me. And I guess being someone like that, it was actually good to hand over that energy to them and just let them do it. And all I had to do was swim, literally. So
How did you, yeah, that's a huge one. And I mean, I can almost remember the beginning of every single marathon from like my state of mind and like getting through it. But like, how did you work through that? Because that's big.
well, I don't know if I told you, but so Val kind of, well, we'll talk about hubby and the kayak and everything, but Val kind of went through the bridge that I had to swim past, you know, kind of past where I had to swim. Does that make sense? Anyway, and I jumped in the water, and I didn't really tell them, but I just absolutely had a panic attack. Like I couldn't breathe, and I was like breathing really high. You know, being a music teacher, I know how bad that is. And I had to do like about 20 breaststrokes just to get my breathing under control. And hubby was in the kayak under the bridge, and I'm like, no, can't do it. I'm out. And he's like, just long breaths, you know. So then I kind of went back another couple of meters and I hadn't even put my head in at this stage. I just felt like I couldn't breathe. And anyway, so then I did a couple of strokes with the head in, because luckily, I don't know, the boat was still organising the lights and the, you know, glow sticks and all that kind of stuff that we had to organise. And it sort of gave me that little bit of time to just get my thoughts together. And then when everyone said, oh, you know, you're good to go, then I kind of was. And the funny thing was, I was thinking of you, Shannon, in the first 100 strokes, because you know how we were saying in the last one that when we're desperate, we count strokes? Right. Dude, I was counting strokes from the start.
Right, I bet, yeah. I've done that too.
Normally it's when I'm desperate or tired or whatever, but that first 16 kilometres that we'll talk about, Val promised me that I'd have a current. No, he didn't promise, but he said, all you have to be is a coconut and just drift down the ocean, drift down the river. But
you did. It wasn't much at the beginning, but it is what it is. There's not much I could do about it.
Exactly. So I was really, I started counting strokes from the start, which was kind of funny, but that was good because it got my rhythm and it was really, and then you do your first feed.
I think.
Pardon?
It's grounding to count, like get through the nerves. I almost would recommend that to somebody now that you mentioned it. It's like, you know, it's just to be like, okay, I can, but I know I can stroke. And like, yes, you use it as a tool sometimes later on to just keep going. But I think in the beginning, it can be really grounding to just be like, okay, oh yeah, I know how to do this. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it was really good. And I was just, and then hubby kind of knew how anxious I was at the start. So that first half an hour, I don't know how he even went forwards because he was watching me the whole time, and I'd look at the boat and actually I couldn't see many people on the boat to start with. The lights were a little bit bright. We had to sort out the lights a little bit, but I don't really know what happened on the boat, Val, and you can talk about that, but we sorted it out within, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 minutes.
So again, you got to met the boat. You left 11:30, alarm went off, got your extra hour of sleep. What time did you meet Val? Of course, he's done his work getting the boat up the river and all that stuff. But what time did you meet him at?
What time we meet? 1:30 in the morning, I think, 1:15 or something. 1:15.
Yeah, we were on 1 o'clock, a little bit after 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. He said, just come straight from the pub. I went, okay.
And then what time did you get underway? Like how long were you prepping for?
I don't know, it's all a blur to me. Maybe half an hour?
Probably, yeah, half an hour.
Half an hour, I think.
Yeah. There's always, did you do like the Desitin and stuff on your back for sun protection and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I did. The Tassie sun actually is quite brutal. It can be not hot, but it can be quite brutal. So I did sunscreen, and then
all the grease and other stuff.
Uh-oh.
So she was shiny and sticky.
Uh-oh, we lost her. So yes, absolutely, Val. So Val, you're how many people have you taken down? You pronounced it better than me. Not that I say Derwent. What do you say?
I don't know, Derwent River.
Derwent. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
How many people have you taken down? That 6?
So far 6. Yeah, 6 this year so far, and
wow.
They've been all successful. Thank God.
Thank goodness.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But But when Carolyn mentioned when she jumped in the water and it was, very nerve-wracking, it could be, because when I swam last year, we started in the dark as well. And when you jump from the, lit boat in the water and it feels like it's pitch black and the boat passes you a little bit and you're literally by yourself under a bridge and you cannot see hardly anything and boat is floating away, that makes it a little bit uncomfortable for a while.
Right.
You would hope that boat come back, but you never know what the guys in the boat would do. Maybe they'll decide to screw that.
Yeah. So at this point, what are you thinking? You're there with Carolyn getting ready on the boat. How are you? And you're doing this the next day. So what's going through your head at this point?
Yeah, similar as with Caroline. For me, it was a good experience to be there to support Caroline, of course, and to see what this swim was all about and get a bit of a visual for myself as well. But I was looking a little bit after Caroline and sort of supporting her and talking to her. I'll never forget when I got in the car with her. They picked me up from Hobart City. And Caroline always a lot of chatty and talking. And I said, "Hey, Caroline, how are you? Are you excited?" And I think she just said, "Okay, I'm okay." So I was a little bit worried initially, but then she started talking and relaxing. And I think at that point, because we've been swimming in the dark many times, but jumping off a boat in the dark, it still feels a bit silly, I think. And so I just tried to talk to her and keep her comfortable and relax and I think she jumped in and we went off.
And off we went. And you were taking us through a little bit of that first 30 minutes. Carolyn, you want to take us back there to that that beginning part of the swim?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, we're good. We're good. All good.
Nice photo, Val.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look at that smiley face, just like that the whole day. And there's you, smiley all the time.
The best. Sounds like the best people you could have on your boat, Val.
That's it. Oh, look at my hair.
I love how it connects everything.
Well, we're talking about the logistics of the kayak and would it work and oh geez, I was tossing up whether to have Chris on the kayak for a long, even up to the day before. I was still,
really?
But Val was amazing. So Val literally brought his boat and he put the kayak in the boat probably 3,000 kilometers away for me, and he put the kayak in and drove it down to Tasmania, and I was so grateful. And Chris, we've got family down there that go salmon fishing, so they had all the wet weather gear for the water and everything. So Chris rugged up in that, and I was actually a little bit worried about Chris getting cold, to be honest, but anyway, he didn't. But he got in the kayak and he's just kayak, hundreds of kilometers for me. So he just started, and to be honest, I have no idea what the boat did. I couldn't tell you what they were doing.
You weren't supposed to.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know what we were doing.
Pretty much for the first, I think Chris was with me for 6 feeds or 5 feeds, so 2.5, 3 hours maybe, until the sun came up anyway. And then once I could see people's faces on the boat, I said to Chris, "I'm good now. You can hop out now. I'm totally good."
Nice.
Anyways, so they said, just so that I could see people's faces, I don't know. It just
it helps. Yeah.
And it helps. Yeah.
It's disorienting to swim in the dark, just in general. And it's amazing to me all the experience that you had going into that, how much you practiced it. I think that's awesome. But it's helpful to kind of have a buffer on each side. You're I go between. It's a lane line, right? So is that? But
actually, one thing was the glow sticks. I was telling Chris it was actually hard to judge distance with the glow sticks.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't actually tell. Was I 5 meters? I couldn't actually tell. So I said to Chris, "Oh, don't worry about the glow sticks," because he had the little head torch and a little red light, and I was just judging off that pretty much. And then he was doing. We've kind of got this system that might be funny to other people, but we were talking about breaking down a marathon swim to feed, and then 10 minutes to 10 minutes, and then we can also break it down into stroke by stroke. Well, we were doing 10 minutes, and normally hubby would hold up one finger for 10 minutes, two finger for 20 minutes, and then feed. But it's pitch black, so we go, well, after 10 minutes, I'd see this big blue glow stick wave in the wave, and I'm like, okay. So I don't really know what the boat did. I just stuck with him, and then once I could see Val's face, like in the skipper area, because I knew he wasn't moving from there. So, you know, because people in the boat kind of move around. So once I saw Val's face, I kind of felt a lot more comfortable then to leave Chris. And so, but the funny thing is they said, okay, we're going to put the kayak in the boat now. It was like these, I don't know how to describe it, Val. It's like two hooks on the side of the boat, and they just hooked the kayak up on the side of the boat. And they said, Yoop and Renee's going to feed you, and we're just going to put the kayak up. You might have to swim, you know, for a few minutes by yourself or whatever. And I said, yeah, that's fine. You know, seriously, they had the kayak up, Chris in the boat, and off we went before I'd finished feeding. So I have no idea how they did that.
Wow.
Process. They must have just been, whoa, Hercules getting this thing up on the side. I don't know. But anyway, so that was the first sort of 3 hours, really. Chris by my side, not really knowing what anyone else is doing. Counting strokes, watching blue glow sticks flash for every 10 minutes. And
are you feeling, what are you feeling like? So it's it's dark, but it's getting lighter, but you know that it's not over when it's light. So like, kind of how are you processing all of that?
I don't really know. I was just swimming, to be honest. Like I was just
so well trained. You just
didn't really have any emotions. I didn't really. Once Chris left, I just had, you know, laser eyes on Val. Like he is just the bomb. You know, if he wasn't looking for waves, I've said this before. If he wasn't looking for waves and current, that's not cool when I do it. Waves and current. He was just watching me like a hawk. You know, I guess that first half an hour of when Chris left and I was with Val, I kind of was having to, you know, you kind of resetting, you know, okay, here's the boat. But because we'd had the little practice swim, he put a tow float at the front of the boat, kind of a tow float at the back, and he wanted me to swim between those two tow floats, just to help me. So that was really good. Like I kind of knew if I was moving away a little bit or towards the boat. So, but yeah, with swimming, I'm very good at not really having any emotions in that time. And I was just really concentrating on not thinking too far ahead, to be honest. It was like, it's just too overwhelming to think.
That's good advice. That's really
only
good
9
advice.
hours ahead.
Right. Yeah.
So I was just, trying to think. And then Yoop was very good at giving messages from people. You know, we kind of had a private little chat group. Yoop was good at giving messages from everybody. I think Michael said feed faster, but that was one feed that I was chatting. But there was a full rainbow over the river.
Mm-hmm.
So Val had the live feed on while the rainbow was on. And so I was chatting a bit more for that feed. And of course I got smashed by everyone that I was taking too long to feed. I'm like, I was just looking at the rainbow.
We did have very good weather. We missed a couple of storms that came just behind us. So yeah, that was fantastic to look at the sky and the sun. No, that regard was very good.
Yeah, that sounds good. What's the is there other boat traffic or anything on the river, Val?
No traffic, and there was especially not in the first 16 kilometer of the swim. And if you swim in the dark, there's not that many idiots who would want to go,
Right.
you know, on a river in the pitch black. And then you could get
just us, right?
That's it. And then you can get, you know, here and there a little small boat or a jet ski. And then when you get to the end, last 6 kilometers, there's last 10 kilometers really, that monoferries creating massive waves, and could be some big ships leaving the docks. But we'll try to adjust the schedule, you know, according to their schedule, because they're bigger. So we don't really want to mess with them.
Nope.
Try to stay away from there. But yeah, it's traffic wise is not that complicated.
Yeah, that's great. So what's it like for you the first 3-4 hours on the boat? You just like trying to figure out what to do.
He was trying to,
Yeah.
he was trying to fall asleep. He was trying to fall asleep.
Good call,
He
good call.
was.
Well, as I mentioned, I was picked up from the pub. No, that's
I love this idea.
so the first few hours, you try to get in a rhythm with the rest of the support crew. So Renee and I developed a sort of a schedule. Val would signal to Chris on the kayak, when the next feed would be. Would it be another 15 minutes? So Caroline could get prepared. And then at 5 minutes, when Val yelled it's 5 minutes, that's when we woke up and got into action. So I would get the temperature, the water temperature, the air temperature. We measure that every 30 minutes around Caroline's feet, so that can be used for the ratification of the swim. Air temperature, water temperature. Then I started to count her strokes, and she was almost all around 58, 60 the whole 10 hours. It was just unbelievable. I couldn't believe my eyes that I got that. So the strokes stayed the same. So you recorded every 30 minutes as well. In the meantime, Renee was getting ready for Caroline's feed. So she would grab a bottle, or if we ran out of a certain feed, she would mix it according to Caroline's schedule. I would then hook on the bottle on the rope, throw it at Caroline, trying not to hit her in the face and not to have the bottle too far away. So that was quite a skill that I'm quite proud of, that I developed that pretty good. And yeah, as Caroline said, later in the race, when the fatigue starts building up a little bit, we gave her the messages from swim buddies, friends that they posted in our Facebook messenger groups, and that I saw that sometimes gave her a little bit of a boost if somebody that special to her says something fantastic and gives some a confidence booster. That really helped. And then at the end, we did a bit of dancing on deck.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Caroline did it, but she was able to while swimming, laugh at it or say something. So we just tried to get her attention, a little bit of the sore shoulders and the pain that start building up. And I think the whole team did a great job.
What was the variability in temperature from the beginning to the end?
Yeah, we started around 19, 20 degrees.
Okay.
And then there was a patch of 23, 24 when we where Caroline swam past a factory that dumps all sort of warm water in the river. And I think at the end it was again 20, 21. We were quite lucky with the temperature. So I think on average it was about 19, 20 degrees.
Wow.
And Caroline can tell that we've done all this cold water preparation, and in hindsight that was good, because 19 degrees felt like a hot bath.
Yeah. Talk about that, Caroline. Was there any point where you're like, I'm a little chilly, or is it? Can I
jump quickly? And just the reason they were doing the cold water preparation, because in general, like last year, for example, when I swam in February, the river was 18 degrees, and then the closer you get to the ocean, the water dropped to 16.
Oh wow!
So that's this year. The water was 3-4 degrees warmer than last year. So I don't know what it is. It's global warming, or not global warming, or just they got very lucky. But this summer water is very warm, so it's a good condition, I guess. Makes it a little bit easier.
Right.
And,
and
good
just
preparation for Northern China. Carolyn.
Right? Yeah. I was just, for the Fahrenheit people in the world, it's so 19 is about 66. I'm looking over at my chart. So 66, and then up to, you said 24 is 75.
Yep.
But it said
Yep.
it was, you were about 66, 68 for the majority of the swim, which is kind of like Tahoe temps. They advertise Lake Tahoe here in the US as a training for 66, 68, although it tends to be closer to 22, I'd say. So anyway, or Celsius. Anyway, just for the benefit of the Fahrenheit people in the world. But that is interesting how much warmer it is, because you were saying, so 16 is more like, or 17 is more like 62. That's a big difference.
Yeah, that's what it was last year.
I swam, I was staying further south of the river, like towards the ocean, closer to Antarctica, I guess. And I thought, I got there 4 days early, and I thought I'm going to swim in the ocean for the 3 days leading up. And then Val took me out for a swim. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go in. And I drove down to the beach, and I was sitting in the car just having that moment, like it was drizzly, it was overcast, and I just had the little tear, just rang hubby and just went, what am I doing?
Can we go home now? I don't want to do it.
Go home now. And I got out, and I thought, I'm at least going to get my hair wet. That was the goal. 3 days out from a swim, right? So I literally just got out of the car, and it was 14 degrees, but wind chill was like 10 or 11. So I don't know what that is in America talk.
47, wind chill 51.
Yeah. So it was chilly. So I thought, right, well, I've never been in my togs, like I've talked about, all the people around the world just be laughing at me, but I've never been in my togs in that kind of cold before, wind chill cold. So I thought, just get in my togs. And I walked down to the beach, I put my feet in, I'm just like, oh my goodness. And my Garmin watch did clock it at about 16. And I just thought, what is, oh my gosh. And then a girlfriend met me, Tammy, who was actually one of Youth's crew, her and I crewed. And she's a local, and she just gets in her bikinis and runs in the beach. So, and then I got out and I started swimming, and I felt okay in the 16. I thought, okay, I can do this. And then Val, as much as Val could show me photos of the temperature gauge, I just couldn't believe that it was
Really?
20 degrees. I would
lie to you. I would just lie to you just to make you feel like that.
You make me feel better. So but then when that practice swim, I just went, oh, wow, it really is 20 degrees. So I just felt so much better. There was one moment where it gets really warm for a little while, shall we say. It got quite hot in a particular area in the north of the river. And then, I think Val, like a cold river, a cold creek sort of flows out or something. And it was just this sudden drop. And I just thought, it's just dropped to like 14 degrees. But Val said, because I'd been in 25 and it probably dropped to 19, it was literally like a wall of water. I was like, warm, cold.
Wow. Yeah.
But Val said that it was just because it dropped 6 degrees so quickly, it wasn't that particularly cold.
Yeah.
There's a little tricky. There's a little spot where, sorry, Shannon, the creek just before that paper factory, there's a creek on the port side or starboard side of the river that coming in the river. And if there's some rains in the mountains, the water gets very, very cold for a couple of 100 meters. And then from that cold water, you get very, very warm water coming from the factory on another side of the river. So it could be really, you keep your, let's say 20 degrees water, suddenly drops down to, 16, 14. And after that, bang, straight to 24. And when it's 24, it's not the whole, you have about a half a meter, maybe, 3 foot, 3 feet of the very warm water, but then you pull, so your arm from your elbow down stays in the cold water. So it's really just weird feeling and very uncomfortable. And then you keep going down, and that layer of the warm water getting less and less and less and less. And then next thing you know, you're back to your normal 19, 20 degrees. So, but that particular section could be a little bit tricky for a swimmer.
Yeah. Well, and I think psychologically, it's kind of tricky because the water's doing, but in your mind, you're just like, what is going on here? Because of the temperature changes. So
like
I think
sauna
I popped.
to relax.
I think I popped up and said, "Oh my gosh, it's just gotten really cold." And I just remember Val going, "It's fine, just swim. It's fine." Like, oh, it's really cold down here. But it was just the change in temperature by 6 degrees. It was just so sudden. And yeah, and you'd swim along, and your hands would be in whatever temperature, but your body was in 6 degrees warmer. It was
It's creepy.
Oh, we don't get that in Queensland. It's just all hot.
So then after you pass this little patch, the water's cooling again or getting back to what it was. Was there ever a point that you felt chilly, or were you just like,
Never.
no, that's awesome. Yeah. So all that cold water.
Whether that's because of the training or that we've done, or I don't know what it was, but I'd do the training again because I wouldn't risk it. I'd do it again. Still coming from Queensland, we're swimming in pools that are 29, 30, 31 degrees. So I'd do it again, the cold, the ice baths and that. But never once did I feel cold. Never once. Like I probably had like 6, hot water thermoses on the boat ready to go, and never. I think Val just drank lots of coffee. We just had lots of hot water. So I never felt like I needed it at all. I think the only time I got cold was when I got out and just and we were driving the boat back, and just my adrenaline just dropped.
Yeah.
And the blood pressure drops. That after.
Yeah.
But I've done that a couple of times, that adrenaline drop, and that's when I got really cold. And there's sort of photos of me with my big winter swim jacket on and my Ugg boots, but I just I didn't need, if it was, I don't know, maybe I don't even know what the weather temperature was, and but it's just that after drop when you get out and the blood pressure drops, the heart rate drops, the adrenaline drops.
Yeah.
The emotions raise.
Yeah, right.
And that's probably the only time in the day that I got cold.
Yeah. Wow. So we talked a lot about things that worked. Is there anything that didn't work that you wish you'd trained better for? Didn't go right? Anything? No? Clockwork?
No, you might have better. I think no, the only thing that was guessing was the kayak bit, and on the day, because Val had taken me for a practice swim, I wasn't even guessing the boat bit. No, honestly, it was just a cracking day. And yeah, I know. We've talked about that people say, oh, it was a very unusual day, but it really was. I didn't, I think I was very lucky with the weather. Like I didn't have any problems with seasickness. And actually, one new thing was the stick, the feeding stick. I'd never had that before. So I think I was talking about I was going to try bananas for the first time. So that was one thing that I'd never had. So you did the rope on the thing, and then Val had a really cool, the feeding stick. So it was like we'd stop for a feed, and I had a buffet. Like Renee had the feeding stick with a cup of banana and jelly beans, and you had the bottle. I'm like, oh, what will I have this time? So that was the only new thing, but that all worked really well. I think everything went well, didn't it, team?
Yeah, from you and Val, from your perspective, was there anything that kind of could have gone better?
From my perspective, not really. As Caroline was very, very good prepared, trying different feeds, swimming in the dark. A few things are new, but and were new to me as well on the support crew. But I think from my perspective, when you develop that that half an hour routine with the rest of the support crew and with Val, I think that went pretty good. And as Caroline already said herself, maybe a little bit less chatting during the feeds and a bit more back into swimming. But that's No, I agree with Caroline. Everything went very smooth, and from my perspective, I wouldn't do anything different.
What about you, Val?
Well, someone said to me, try and enjoy it. Like I kind of got to the end of Rottnest and that, and what just happened? Like what just happened? So, and because it's a river, you see really cool stuff you actually see stuff, which is nice. So when you stop, it's not just an ocean with waves and trying not to get boats to run over you. It's actually a really pleasant, scenic swim. So I was actually like, oh, look, there's a winery, you know, oh, that'd be nice. Oh, look, there's
Rivers are fun like that, right?
They are. I've never swum in a river, you know, anything like that before. So it was kind of like I'd stop and look around, and then they'd say, like, are you going to eat? Oh, okay, you know, and then I'd look around a bit more. So
Caroline,
yes, potential.
Caroline, you have to tell Shannon and the listeners about what you saw on the bridge.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was amazing. So I've kind of got like a little chat group that's just, you know, sort of close family and friends. And so a lot of people knew that I was, you know, not publicly, just, you know, my friends and that. And we were well, you could probably tell it more because you saw it more than me, but I'm swimming along and I saw everybody, Val, you, Renee, Chris, they're all looking up. Like we were coming close to the bridge. I knew we were coming close and everybody was looking up. Oh, they're just looking at the bridge. And then Renee's like screaming at me, look up. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, because, you know, you're like, no, swim, cross straight.
Right.
Right? No, when did your support crew tell you to look up? So I looked up and there was these people on top of the bridge and they were screaming and waving. And then I saw all these like things like float down. I'm like, what is that? Anyway, and I stopped.
I thought it's a funeral. I thought they're just spraying the ashes of, you know, the loved ones. That's what I thought, really.
Well, Shannon, it was not a funeral.
No ashes, okay.
Anyway, we're looking at all these things come down. Cut a long story short, it was one of my girlfriends. She lives in Manly, but she has family down there. So she was visiting her family and with her kids. And they got buckets of flower petals.
Oh, wow.
And they threw them down. And I'm swimming along and then I'm like, boom. And there was flowers everywhere. And I'm swimming through flowers. And yes, if you told me to just keep swimming then I would have slapped you.
Right.
But I was just looking up and it was, I mean, at the time we didn't actually realize who it was. It wasn't until we finished the swim that we'd realized who it was. But that was just magic. Kate, you're a superstar. Like it was just so lovely.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know if many people have had that experience. So yeah, I've got quite a few lovely, beautiful friends in Tasmania, which is one of the reasons why I chose to swim as well. Well, mainly for Val, but mainly, yeah. Because I knew Val would look after me. It wasn't some rando skipper.
I want to know from Val's perspective, how much did you have to whip these guys into shape so that they worked the way that you wanted them to, or did they come with like the knowledge and experience that you needed to have a good swim?
Well, they're both very experienced swimmers. You know, Carolyn always, you know, trying to talk herself down. She cannot do that. She's too slow. There's this. So that was a little bit, just shut up. You know, you're much better than you are.
Right.
And, we actually had to start a little bit later than I planned because after the practice swim and, you know, talking to Joy, she swam with her and that, because she swam around Keppel here before. So I knew she's not as slow as she thinks she is. So we need to adjust time just a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was the only change we made. But with Chris being in the kayak, when we just started the swim, I'm thinking, oh shit, sorry, how is it going to work? You know, the boat, kayak, and then the swimmer. So do I have to guide both of them? And then I figured out, hold on a second, Chris actually can see where he's going. So that made it very easy. I would just tell Chris, just see that, you know, little light flashing somewhere between the trees, just aim for that. And then Carolyn was following the Chris, and now just sitting there, was standing in the boat and just chatting to Chris most of the time. So that part worked out very well because the one I was worried about.
Yeah.
And then when Chris got out of the water, there was no issues. Carolyn could see the boat and she was very good to following. And, you know, as much as you're trying to keep the boat on a straight and all the time, and if you stay even, you know, half a meter, it just makes you as a swimmer try to turn left and right and left and right. So, but being a few meters away was, she was perfect. no problem at all. I did have to get on her case twice about feeding, just simply because we were having a meal in the spot where current was very strong.
Yeah.
So she had to hurry up and finish her drink, otherwise we would have ended up in a place, not a good spot. So otherwise, she was great. She was very good.
Yep.
I was kind of hoping she'll do the turn at the bridge and start swimming up the river again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, bit of a funny story. I know we're talking about me, but a funny story. The next day, you did his swim, and he finished, and we were all screaming on the boat, and he tumble turned and did like 10 strokes back.
Nice. Nice one. That's awesome.
Do it again.
And Shannon, another thing what made everything is very easy, because Joop and Renee, obviously Joop swam before. I'm not sure if Renee had been on the boat before as a support, but they did a great job. You know, they just knew exactly what they're doing, and it makes it everything. The whole process makes very, very fun, really, and very easy. So you have enough time to chat, to joke, you know, to make fun of Carolyn, and
yeah,
it's great. It's a good 10 hours in the boat. Most of the time is flying. And
Time flies
the
past.
weather, yeah, we got very fortunate with the weather all 3 days. We just had the weather was getting progressively better and better and better, or not worse at least. So no, could have been much more windier, but no, it was great.
Yeah,
Great time.
cool.
So Shannon, there was 3 of us from Brisbane that we trained together, and we went down, and I think Val, correct me if I'm wrong, Val, he had kind of a 6-day window to get all 3 of us down.
Yeah.
But the weather was just so good. He put us back to back, so 3 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 days in a row. I mean, I did 2, but Val did 3. You know, getting up at 11 o'clock, and he was just nocturnal for 3 days basically, and it was just. You know, we went and had a little glass of champagne at the pub a couple of days later, and it's such a lovely photo to see Val and his 3 out of 3 swimmers. You know, he's got 6 out of 6 now, so that's a good ad for Val. So he's back in Queensland now, and then he goes back down.
You just guys swimming down the river. All my job is just to, kind of tell you roughly which way to go or not to go.
See, you can't say to me, no, stop. You can't say to me that I'm putting myself down and you say stuff like that. You are the absolute bomb. See, no, I'm not going to take it. Teach your time.
Okay, we're going to put a critical eye on what's one thing that you each learned from being a part of Carolyn's swim. Did you learn any? We'll start with Carolyn. Anything that you learned about yourself or in the process or anything during your swim?
I don't know if I learned anything. I think I learned that I really enjoy the process of it all. Process outcome. I really enjoy the process of it all. You know, just everyone says, "Oh, what an amazing swim," but what Val and Joop and all the training buddies know is the day is just your reward for the last, I guess it was 5 months really of big swims. But just the adventure, like even if it's just a different pool, I think I know every pool now. Joop would laugh too. Every pool in Brisbane we know, every beach, the adventures are just amazing, and it just breaks that Groundhog Day. So I don't know if I learned anything on the day, but I think I did learn, I did try and enjoy it more than the other couple of swims I've done, because Val organises the Great Keppel. We were talking about the Great Keppel Island swim actually last time, but we were talking about how I breathe to the left. So we'd get to Val. So we got to the end of Great Keppel, and Chris is like, "Oh, that was just the most amazing kayak." And I'm like, "I don't know, I didn't see anything, But then the next year they went the other way, but I couldn't go because of lockdown. But so that would have been nice. I would have seen more of the island. But so none of my swims I've actually stopped and enjoyed and thought, this is really fun. And I think it's the first time where I've gone, this is actually fun. Oh, I get it now. Yeah, that's probably what I learned. To just, I guess the river helped because you could see stuff along the way, but it was Val and Joop and Renee and Chris just made it fun, as opposed to survival of the seasickness.
Right. How about you, Joop? Did you learn anything on the swim, on being a part of Carolyn's team?
I think I felt being part of Caroline's team from the day that we both signed up for the swim,
Absolutely,
start training together, supporting each other during the swims, and it is just a fantastic journey that we've been through, and we both successfully swim the swim. I think that's the thing that I learned is have an A team around you, have positive people around you, whether it's nutrition, a coach, a good coach, have those people around you, and as Caroline said, the swim, and in my case supporting Caroline during the swim was just the cherry on top. You all the hard work, Caroline done all the hard work already, and then on the days just having fun and trying to relax and finish.
Yeah.
Swim from bridge to bridge.
Yeah.
Well done, Caroline. That was awesome.
Well done, you.
What about you, Val? Anything that you gleaned knowledge, the tidbit?
I
from
really,
this?
really enjoy when the families work together, like in Caroline's case. Chris, does Chris know how to swim actually? I'm not.
No. I mean, he can float. Well, no, actually, can't even float. He can survive.
Yeah, so he has nothing to do with swimming whatsoever. He probably doesn't really enjoy to get up at midnight, but just his commitment to Carolyn and get on the kayak and feed her, and just it's so cool to see that the whole family gets involved, and that's awesome. And the same with the friends like you and Renee. It's like I said, it's not the individual sport, that's for sure. You have, the one swimmer, but there's quite few people behind the scene who make it all possible. I'm just hoping that Caroline will learn that she's much stronger swimmer. So maybe she'll be way much more confident now when it comes to longer swims. And for both of them, one thing I was hoping.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go on.
One thing we would get at a little bit of a crappy weather, so they both would learn that breathing on both sides is very important.
That's right.
It didn't happen. So one day you guys will learn when the wind comes from the side you don't like to take a breath, or vice versa. You won't be able to do it properly because can't save by the boat. So learn by little breathing, you two.
That's right. I'm with Val.
All right. Great Keppel Island, August, Shannon. August. Stay tuned. Look, Carolyn and you, bilateral breathe.
If you come here in August, it'll be late. July this year.
Oh, July.
Okay.
July. There you go. Great Keppel Island, everyone. See you all there.
The last thing I was going to ask, and they're doing some tree work outside my house. So I apologize if you can hear the background noise, but for Caroline, is it too soon to ask what's next?
Well, we're all going to Great Keppel Island. Yeah, boom.
Yeah, of course.
That's just it was a non-negotiable, that one. I actually had a meeting with Jay, my coach, the other day. We're youths coach, there's quite a few of us, and I had a big long list of 5 marathon swims to do this year, and over the course of a coffee, he was just like, "You are kidding me," right? Because he said he's seen it before. They come off a successful swim and you get all excited and you book in like every 6 weeks another one, and he said you won't have shoulders by December. So I said, well, Keppel Island's non-negotiable. That one is a definite in, because we got to go and see Val, because that's his baby. And well, the next one is they do have this Australian Triple Crown one here, but where the second one is in Western Australia. So literally last night they closed, how I was telling you about the states are a bit different here. So literally last night they closed the border again. So I'm not sure if we'll get across for that one. Oh. But the other one, no, Western Australia's closed again. So the other one is, sorry for the bad news, Val. I think Val was going to do that one too. But they may open it again. We'll see. But then there's a Gold Coast one that I've actually been signed up for 3 years, but it got put off in 2020, and then it got put off twice in 2021. So I'd signed up for 2022, but I wasn't going to do it because I was going to do the West Australia one. Anyway, two marathon swims this year is all my coach will let me have. He doesn't want me to blow up, and he wants me to.
I'll have a boat in Sydney, so if that's going to get moved, we'll just swim with my boat. I already talked to a few people because I want to do it and Joy wants to do it. So we'll organize our own event. Not a problem.
Which one's that? Port to Pub?
No, the Palm to Shelley,
Shelley.
Sydney.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll have a boat too.
Awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for everybody coming today and telling us about Carolyn's swim. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have you heard of the Intrepid Water Accountability Group? We'll support and encourage each other on a private chat platform, pursue monthly challenges both in the water and on land, and meet virtually once a month to dive deep on a topic. If you'd like to join a group of like-minded limit pushers from around the globe, join the Intrepid Water Accountability Group. Find out more at intrepidwater.com.